There is comfort in repetitive movement. A yogi would say, I am practicing yoga. Perfection is never the goal. The process and what we learn about ourselves along the way is what matters. Stitching is like that. We carefully select our fabric, choose just the right floss, and we gather our tools, the scissors and needles. Then we take a seat in our favorite chair and begin to stitch. The needle goes into the fabric and comes back out. It goes in and comes back out. Stitch by stitch, we make beauty and find comfort as we stitch. So can you look up there at our FlossTube friends art? Say hi, FlossTube friends. Oh, he's being so sweet. I just picked him up off the bed. He was having a little nap. I wasn't sure how he was going to be. Hi, FlossTube friends. This is Archie. I'm Jackie. Welcome to another episode of my FlossTube called Comfort Stitching. He never does this. You guys know, if you've been here before, you know this is really being very sweet for him. I hardly want to put him down, but I will. There. And he has to shake it off, of course. How is everyone today? It is Saturday. What day is it? January 17th, 2026. And this is FlossTube number 27. As I said, this is Comfort Stitching. This is my channel all about my love of cross stitching and sometimes other creative things that I get up to. But mostly we're going to be talking about cross stitching today. And welcome. If you're new today, special welcome to you. And if you're a returning subscriber, I appreciate you all. And thank you so very much for coming back time after time after time. So I do want to say just a special welcome if you are new. I know a lot of people are doing whip parades right now, and I did one in my last video as well, and I noticed I had quite an uptick in new subscribers after that. So special welcome to you if this is your first time for one of my regular videos after having seen that last one. I appreciate that you're here and that you did click that subscribe button. And everybody who did, you guys, you pushed me over, I can't believe it, 10,000 subscribers. Thank you from the bottom of my heart. Thank you so, so much for that. 10,000 subscribers, you know, nothing happened. YouTube didn't, although they did send me a little celebratory email saying, hey, did you know you achieved this milestone? But that's really all that happens. It's mostly just, you know, an achievement, like almost a personal achievement. And I have to tell you that as a person who's generally been kind of one of the people who all my life stayed in the background, to be sitting here and doing this and to have had the kind of response that I've had for the way that I do this, 10,000 subscribers was a really big deal. Heck, when I first started this channel back in May of, I wrote it down, May of 2024, I had no idea that anybody would watch. I mean, I thought, you know, maybe my sisters, I hoped would watch, and maybe a few relatives and some of my closest friends. But I had no idea that so many people would resonate with the way that I share my passion, really, for needlework and for this hobby of cross stitch. And so I just really, truly, from the bottom of my heart, thank you, thank you, thank you for all the support that you have given me, especially those of you that have been here since the very, very first video. And those of you who are just coming along within the last few weeks. Each and every one of you means a lot to me. And I do mean that. So I love the interaction that we have in the comments section. Some of you choose to reach out to me through other social media or through email. And I just appreciate hearing from you and your thoughts. And your questions. So just truly thank you. And in the spirit of that kind of celebration, you know, I should have put Archie's party hat on him today because I have one for him. But in the spirit of that, I had planned a special giveaway. So we are still going to go forward with that today. And I will have that just a little bit later in the video because it becomes relevant like to some happy mail and some other things that I want to show you today. So, and let me see, I'm just I'm looking down at some notes that I have here today because I have probably a lot to go over, although, you know, I always have a lot to say. But let's talk about, first of all, just like what's been going on since I saw you last, which would have been just 3 weeks ago. I live in Northwest Missouri, just about 30 miles or so, 35 miles or so from Kansas City. And today we actually have weather that seems like winter. We've had a very mild winter so far, but today it's 18 degrees and a lot of wind. So we're in the below 0 degrees Fahrenheit wind chills. So some people are happy about that. We had a little bit of snow overnight. Some people are happy about that. And I'm happier when it's a little bit warmer, although I know that's not necessarily very wintry. So we got to do it. And usually it's a lot colder for a longer period of time at this time of year. The last 2 years, I was in Arizona over this weekend for Sampler Symposium, which actually is going on this weekend. And I remember the last 2 years, it was always like, you know, a week or more of 0 degree temperatures and below 0 wind chill. So today is giving me a little reminder of that. And everybody down in Arizona is having a grand time in like 60, 70 degrees and sunny. So, I wish that I was there, but I'm living vicariously through all of the pictures that I'm seeing on Instagram and Facebook. It looks like everybody's having a great time so far. And I know next weekend or beyond, there are going to be a lot of recaps, people doing recaps of Sampler Symposium. So we'll get to see it all of the good stuff for sure. So also, Archie got a haircut. He had been looking like a fuzzy bear the last time you saw him, and he got the haircut right before some of this really cold weather went in. I felt kind of bad for him, but he needed the haircut, and his groomer's hard to get into. So he's doing good. He is doing really good, and we are doing good. I'll tell you what, my stitching has really been a comfort for me the last few weeks, especially because at work, I work at a bank, for those of you who are new, and I have become kind of an ancillary part of the training team. Our bank is very good at training new hires, and they put them through like a week of training classes, and then they send them out to different bank branches for at least a week, sometimes more, of in-person training. So they've got a mentor helping them get through some stuff and learning the practicalities of doing the job of being a bank teller. And some move on to become personal bankers, but there's always teller work that has to be done. But long story short, I've had somebody that I've been working with for the last 3 weeks, and granted, she started right before the Christmas holidays, so we were short weeks. Then there was New Year's, so a short week. And now we've had our first like full week and a half of working together. This has been a challenge. She's extremely, extremely shy, and it's just been a little hard for me to connect with this girl and figure out a way to communicate some things that are different ways of saying the same thing and helping to instill some good work habits in someone who has never done this job before. There's a lot to learn, but boy howdy, this one, this particular situation has been a challenge for me to do. And I've taught other people how to do this job before. This one is different. So anyway, I've been really glad for my stitching, for sure, for sure. So I have, as usual, just pulled the dish towel off of my stitching. I had it covered up so it didn't get dusty today. I did have to work this morning, so I'm coming to you a little later in the day, which might affect the light. I hope we stay good with the light today. But before I really talk about what I've been working on, I want to reply to or give some information based on a couple of comments that came after the last video. And I had a lot of people write to me with compliments about my finish of the Beatrix Potter Quaker sampler. Thank you so much. I enjoyed working on that a lot. But I had a lot of people want the color conversion that I did, or want to know what the floss colors that I used for that sampler were. And it's hard for me to reply to that within the comments because it's a long, it's several colors that I used. So I asked for people to email me. Some did, some didn't. So I'm actually just going to put a picture up here of the flosses that I used. If you want to take a screenshot, you will have that. And hopefully those of you who are maybe wondering about it or might happen on to this video way after the fact, you will be able to see that. So hopefully that answers that for you. It was a mixture of DMC, there was an anchor floss, a couple of silks, and some overdyed cottons that I used in that sampler. So again, thank you for all the compliments on that finish. I'm very pleased with it and look forward to getting that one framed and up on my wall. Then I had one very, I'm gonna just say eagle-eyed viewer who obviously you have been watching me since day one or very, very early in my YouTube channel. You asked me about a particular whip that I did not show in my whip parade last month. And quite honestly, I kind of forgot about it. And I should say, how could I forget about this one? But in my defense, it wasn't in a cloth project bag that I am using now. It was on a shelf with some other things that I have kitted, but that I have not actually started yet. So it got mixed in with some stuff. So I'm going to show you that today too. But I'm going to start off just by saying, hey, I got started with my book of days. I did. I have not decorated it up yet like a lot of people do. I'm just in the first month, I put a couple of things in, but I am writing in it. And I put on the left side, I put the whips that I have, a couple of things that I shared with you last time that I really want to start this year. And then I've added a couple of other things that have come up. I got squirreled like the best of us. We see new things and have ideas of some things we want to add to our plans. So I put that all in that left-hand column. And then I wrote on all of the dates. And there were just a couple of days this month that I didn't actually work on stitching, but other than last night, because I always plan my floss tubes the night before I'm going to film, so I don't stitch, but there was, I'm thinking about stitching and planning this. But other than that, or one day that I was working on a fully finished, which I'll get to share with you today, I stitched on every day since I saw you last. So that's kind of fun to actually see that. And where I've been keeping mine rather than my stitching chair, right here by my stitching chair, is I keep my works in progress draped over an ironing board in my studio room behind me. I think I mentioned it last time. I just moved the ironing board out of the way so you guys don't see it through that doorway because it's not attractive. So, and I mean, yes, there's a lot of mess going on that board and on those shelves back there, but to put an ironing board in front of that, that's not cute. Anyway, I have been putting this kind of on top of my stack of whips. And so as I'm preparing the piece that I'm going to work on, like putting the hoop onto it and so forth, I write in here which one I'm going to work on what day it is. So this has worked pretty well for me so far. So we'll see if I keep up with it. I'm hoping that I do. So anyway, that very first thing that I was asked about, it was in one of these kind of Amazon bags. And most of my active whips have gone into cloth project bags as I have started to acquire those. And I don't have enough to put everything, even, you know, some people put kitted things into cloth project bags. Right now, my system kind of is something that I have kitted, like I've got the chart, I've pulled probably the linen for it, and maybe not the linen, but I've pulled the flosses for it. So it's just basically a kit. Haven't started actively stitching yet. I put in these kind of bags from Amazon. And then they go on a particular shelf in there. And that's where this chart was. So it wasn't with all my things that I have been working on. So what this person asked about was this chart right here. Clémence Jauneau, 1889. And this is something I was working on back when I, early in my FlossTube days. I was influenced by Contented Needleworker Kim, who had done the central portion, just the birds there in the center of that chart. And I was doing that too. And I, at some point, stopped, and it got put in this bag and put on a shelf. So here is that whip for that. Those of you who were wondering what happened to that. There it is, dangling thread and all. And when I pulled this out last night to unfold it and get it ready to show you today, I thought, wow, I need to finish that. It's really not that far from a finish. There's just the little bit of greenery up here to add to it yet. So let me, so I apparently at one point I nearly unkitted it because these are the only flosses I have left on here. A lot of what I was using was the DMC conversion, and probably over the last year and a half or so, I needed the colors for other projects. And so I just started pulling them out. And at one point I probably just said, you know what, I'm gonna unkit this. I can always get them back since they were DMCs. But the two things I have left on here were a couple of Color and Cotton flosses that I was using for this particular chart. Now, this is being stitched. Let me get that thread out of the way. This is being stitched on 40 count linen. It is called Eggshell by Fiber on a Whim. And this does noticeably have a very green quality to this linen, which I thought was really good considering all of the green here and the fact that the birds were, you know, within some leaves, obviously in a tree. And so I think I probably stopped because I got all the fun parts done and probably found something to do that was going to be more fun after that. But I'm going to put it back into my rotation and see if I can't get to a finish on that. So thank you for reminding me of it. I probably would have come across it at some point. But that is Clémence Jauneau, 1889. And this is by Couleur Touterelle. And I know for a fact that after seeing me show this, a couple of you guys have done this one and done the complete chart on it and had some beautiful finishes on that. So anyway, it's a gorgeous, gorgeous. Another beautiful French sampler in the vein of my Leah Latourneur that you've seen me work on. I don't have that one here today, but I started this one. When did I start it? February 19th of 2024. Hey, it's possible I could get a finish in a year, right? Maybe I can try that. That might be a good goal to set. Can I get that finished by the February of this year? So after I saw you last, what I worked on first was a patriotic chart. And this one is very exciting for all of you guys. This one is America 250 by Plum Street Samplers. And why I say it's exciting for you guys is because up until this past week, this was an exclusive that was only available to attendees of the summer school retreat that was held at the Attic Needleworks in Mesa, Arizona last August. But this week, Carolyn from the Attic had an announcement both on video, in her latest video from the Attic, and on social media that they are ready to release this for everyone. So, those of you who have been patiently waiting, it's your time. I do want to caution you that if you're watching me within just a day or two of me putting out this video, Sampler Symposium is going on. So everyone's attention at the Attic is on Sampler Symposium, and they won't respond to you. They just won't. They're busy. So the way to get this chart is to call or email them. If you email them, it's probably the best. They will reply to you when they finally can start wading through the backed up emails. But they do have it ready and will start shipping soon. The other thing they have, in true Attic fashion, they will kit it up, and they've done a overdyed silk conversion, or they'll kit it with the called for threads, and they've got some linen that they're suggesting for it too. So such exciting news, because I know a lot of people have been wanting to work on that chart. I mean, we're coming up this July 4th on a significant celebration for us here in the United States of the 250th anniversary of the signing of our Declaration of Independence. And so a lot of folks are working on patriotic stitching in commemoration of that, or at least want to start something to commemorate that. And you've been waiting on this one. You can get it now. So exciting. I'm happy for you. I truly am. Because I've felt a little bit, I mean, I'm glad that I've been able to work on it. A friend of mine loaned that to me. And so I'm happy to be working on it myself. But I felt bad that a lot more of us, a lot more of you couldn't be working on it alongside me. So now you can. So anyway, America 250 by Plum Street Samplers. Let me show you mine. This is what I have done so far. What I have added since I saw you last is all the sails on the ship. And that's a lot of stitching. And it's not quite white, but it is nearly white stitching, some ecru on there. I know some of you don't like that, but it's on there. Anyway, I also did a little bit of frogging since I saw you last too. And I'll talk about that for just a sec. I'm going to show you the flosses that I'm using. I've got 2 rings going because I've got a variety I'm using most of the called for colors, but I've added in some of my own too. So they're called for are a mix of DMC and overdyed cottons. I've got a couple of NPIs that I have as options in here, and I am using this one white NPI, and I also have a couple of color and cotton colors that I'm mixing in too. And if you've been here before, you know that's just me. I am always looking for the right color for something, and if the called for feels like the right color to me, I'll use it. But if for whatever reason I'm not liking it, I don't have a problem changing colors. So that's why you're seeing some different ones. So that is those. And let me tell you a little bit about why I did some frogging in that ship. That's because if I hold it up close, I don't know if you can tell in the light here, but there are 3 different flosses used in the ship. And the called for colors, because I had that whole thing nearly completely stitched, the called for colors to me made it look really kind of patchy. They were very distinctly different colors. And when I had it done, I just wasn't fond of the way that it looked. So I still have a bit of patchiness, but I used one completely different color than what was called for, and one color that was called for but that I hadn't used yet because I was choosing to use a DMC, and which was I just want to show you, which was 3787, which is kind of a greeny gray. And the called for overdyed that goes, so you could choose between either the DMC, that greeny gray, or the called for overdyed was a color called bark, which has some green in it, but is a lot more brown. And then it went alongside another brown, and then there was a lighter brown that was called for in it too. The lighter brown called for is 3790, and that really stood out, as did the green. So I just switched my lighter brown, this one, to DMC number 8. They're in the same family. Number 8's just a little bit darker. And instead of using the greeny gray, I've used it in one other spot, but instead of using that in the boat, I went with the bark. And then the other brown that's in the boat is the called for that I'm using. So that's kind of what I'm thinking about when I'm changing colors or what I'm doing. I don't tie myself to the called for colors and not being able to switch them a little bit, just using the DMC or just using the overdyeds, vice versa. I'm looking for the right color. And like I said, when I stitched with the DMC, that greeny one, which I used it up in the eagle's wings because I wanted those quilt squares to stand out, and the interior of the quilt squares was the bark color. It was just too dark and it didn't differentiate itself from the dark brown. So that's why I chose to use that green in there. And since I had used that green, I thought, well, I should use it down here, but didn't work down there. So that's why I went back to call for color bark, but just hadn't used it yet. So I like options, and I just wanted to make that boat, the wood part of the boat, be a little more blended rather than patchy looking. And I think you can see in that big sail in the center that the numbers 1773 are in there. It's recommended that you stitch that with 3 floss threads. Now I'm stitching on 40 count Called for linen size was 36, so I'm on 40. I used 2 strands in that, and it was plenty to make the numbers stand out. It's meant to be subtle, but there. And so that is my progress on America 250. I'm looking forward to getting over into the flag and the Independence Hall. Now there also, I will tell you, in this chart right here underneath the eagle is a stamp with some over one stitching. I saw somebody ask on the comments to Carolyn's video, is there over one in this? There is over one there. There is over one in the initials of everyone who signed or the signers of the Declaration of Independence. There's over one there. And then there's a little reference to a Bible verse there, Leviticus 25:10, I think. It's very tiny on this photo. Anyway, I just wanted to tell you that there is a variation. If you don't want to stitch that stamp, that's in reference to the Stamp Act, but there's a variation if you don't want to stitch that. That variation is it brings some of these flowers from the border down underneath the eagle. And I actually think I'm going to do that. I haven't seen anybody's finish of this yet that has done the flowers. I've started seeing a few finishes of this on social media, and they're beautiful. I just haven't seen anybody do the flowers. And I just think, you know, while the Stamp Act is important to the history and the lead up to the Declaration of Independence, to me, you know, I don't think it necessarily enhances, it needs to be there for this to be a beautiful chart. So I just thought I might go rogue, which I sometimes do, and be somebody who stitches the flowers there. So that's what I will do. And of course the boat, the ship, I should say, the ship is in reference to, and that date of 1773 is in reference to the Boston Tea Party. And for some of you who are maybe not from the United States, I wonder why, the Boston Tea Party. Maybe you've heard of it, but some people were really upset that the King of England was going to start taxing tea, and the only place you could get tea was from England, so it was a tax, and people here weren't able to approve it, vote for it. We had no representation. So that's where the phrase taxation without representation first came from. And so some people dressed up as indigenous Native Americans, boarded the ship that had the tea and started throwing it overboard in protest. So we had some early protesting going on in the days in 1773 for the Boston Tea Party. So I'm just really enjoying the symbolism that's in this. And as did most of us, we had to take history classes when we were in primary school, grade school, and you remember some stuff, you don't remember other things. I know if you live in the Boston or the East Coast of the United States, you know that history maybe a little more deliberately, because there's still, you know, museums and a lot of reference to all of that in your lived experience there. But those of us who don't live there, maybe, you know, we don't have the same reason to be thinking about it in the same way as if you live in that neck of the woods. So I've just really been enjoying stitching this and just revisiting the history books, and especially right now, the founding of our country, given everything that's going on everywhere in the world, but everything that's going on, it's good to be reminded of how we started, how far we've come, and what is still left to do. So that's America 250. I hope you will all go. I'm going to put links in the description box below the video. And for the Attic Needlework, for their website. The video where Carolyn talked about this was from January 12th. And the photograph that she uses for the thumbnail for that video has her holding that sampler. So you can't miss it if you go looking on the Attic Needleworks YouTube channel, or go to their website and email them and have them send you one of those so you can get started stitching it. You will love it. I'm really enjoying stitching it. The colors are very pleasing. I'm stitching, I think I said 40 count linen when I was talking about those 2 floss threads for the year. But I didn't tell you I'm stitching on Affogato is the color of linen that I'm using. It's not the called for, but it was just one that I liked, and I thought it looked kind of like parchment paper. It seemed to work for me, and so that's what I'm using. That's not what the Attic has pulled for it. I think they have suggested fox and rabbit linen, saltbush, I think. Don't hold me to that, but I think that's what they are kind of suggesting for it. You could use anything you want. So, America 250. Next, I had a new start. And since I saw you last, I think I was here just maybe a day or two before New Year's Eve. So a lot of people do a blessing sampler on New Year's Day, and I had never done one before. So I decided I was gonna try that this year. So I started a Hands Across the Sea design called A.W.E. And it's just a small little sampler, one color, easily doable for a blessing sampler. And if you are unaware of what a blessing sampler is, it's generally a small sampler or project. It doesn't have to be a sampler. It can be any stitching project that you start and hopefully complete within the month of January. And if you do, it's just said to bring good luck for you and your needle and your stitching for the year. So I decided to get on board with that, along with my friend Renee, who is on social media, Prairie Stitcher 515, and Lori Wilson, who is from Thread Milk Designs. She is doing this with us too, as are, I know, a lot of you. I'm seeing a lot of this on social media, a lot of people working on it. And let me show you my floss ring. One thing. And let me show you how far I got. I didn't finish it yet. A finish is in sight. Here we go. Here is my A.W.E. And I think it's pretty. I think it's very pretty. This one, I actually had a restart this month too. I had a start and a restart. And that is because I had chosen, excuse me, let me see if he stopped. Sorry about that. Archie is my security patrol, and he takes his job very seriously. There probably was somebody on the street that he had to sound the alarm about. I apologize. Anyway, I was talking about restarting my A.W.E. sampler. I selected a 46 count fabric for this. This is called A.W.E. and it's by Number 12 Stitch Company. Beautiful, beautiful linen. This color is really hard to tell you what it's like, because it has a little pink in it. It has some yellow in it. It has some purple in it. And depending on the time of day, it looks different. And it's something I've had for a while and wanted to find just the right project for. And I thought this little sampler would be good for it. I pulled, because of it being 46 count, I thought, oh, an opportunity to use one of my silks. I pulled a 100.3 Auvert Soie silk in a kind of a pinky fuchsia, because I just always, when I looked at that chart, saw it as being magenta or, you know, pinky fuchsia. And so I started out with that. And if you've been here for a while, you know 103 Silks and I'm just going to say we have a complicated relationship. Honestly, I wasn't liking how my stitches looked, and I had quite a bit of it done. And I just was not happy with what it looked like. And so I decided I'm going to restart this. I'm not going to keep going forward with something that I'm not enjoying. And so one night I was just mad at it, and I started just cutting stitches and pulling them out. And I have restitched in the area. So I was careful enough that I wasn't ruining my linen, but I was just kind of mad. And I thought, what is it about these? I don't know. Some people love 103s. They're not going to be something I ever love. I've just had to come to terms with that. And I just decided to look through my floss and see what color called to me. As I said, I just always saw this sampler in a kind of a pinky fuchsia rose color. So I pulled out this DMC color. It is 3350. And I restarted. So I spent about a week with that, stitching, unstitching, restitching, and that's where I am. So obviously I don't have a lot left, just the alphabets now and a little kind of a curly Q-ish border. So that's A.W.E. So I do want to be happy with it, so my needle will be blessed this year. So anyway, yeah, I learn as I go. You know, I've only been back to cross stitching since very early in 2023. And there are a lot of materials that I haven't had a lot of experience with, and 103 floss is one of those. I see a lot of floss tubes people love. They're 103 silks. That's what they want to use. But I'm just, I guess, here to say that just because other people like them, love them, it might not be your experience. So be okay with that. And it's truly okay for you not to have the same experience as somebody else. Just because I love something, mixing up colors or certain linen or a certain size of linen doesn't mean that you will. We have to just experiment and be okay with experimenting and find what it is that you like working with. So I certainly haven't tried them all yet. And so there'll be a lot more probably starting and restarting over the course of my needlework experience. So that was the A.W.E. sampler from Hands Across the Sea. So what did I do next? Well, I've got a Christmas project bag in my lap from my friend Sarah at Penelope's Pocket. So that means I worked on something from the holiday season. And I wanted to show you something. When I showed you that bag last time, I showed you the cute little, and I put a bell on it. That didn't get sent with it. And I'm sorry if you don't like that sound, but I do. Anyway, Sarah sent me, she knitted this little stocking, and I put that on there. But she also sent me a couple of things inside the bag, and I failed to show you one, and I want to. This is a postcard that she sent. And I looked at that and I thought, oh, I wonder who painted that. And it is Hilltop House at Night. It's called Hilltop by Night by Beatrix Potter. She painted that in 1912. And Sarah knew, obviously, she knew of my interest and enjoyment of the Beatrix Potter and learning about her. And she included that, which was really thoughtful. And I wanted to just make sure I showed that. It was just very thoughtful of her, not only to make a beautiful project bag and that cute little stocking, but to include something like that. So I appreciated that. Anyway, what I'm keeping in that is this chart right here. It's called the Chili Cardinals Sampler. And this is by Artful Offerings. And I didn't work on it a lot this time, but what I did do to it makes a noticeable change. So here is what I have got to show you. And when you saw it last, it did not have that bottom border on it. That's what I've done since I saw you. Now, for those of you looking, you can see that that border is not in the original design. It's up at the top. So I have switched the location of the alphabet to the top and made it white. And I have moved the border to the bottom, and I have added some berries and extended it. I've also added trees on either end to make this a more horizontal design instead of square or more vertical. So that's Chili Cardinals. Let me get the flosses out. I'm stitching this on 40 count linen. Brenda's Brew by R&R Reproductions. And I'm using some of the called for colors. And since I changed one of the cardinals to be female, obviously I've added some colors. I think I've adjusted one of the greens a little bit too, so it had more contrast on this linen. So all I have left to do is the white, the snowflakes and the alphabet letters that are around the cardinals and the trees. And I am going to add in probably some sequins interspersed in that too, just to give it a little sparkle. And as I said, enjoying stitching this one quite a bit. It's a nice alternative to the very detailed samplers that I do and the kind of larger projects. To have something a little bit smaller is nice. And I've told you before how much cardinals remind me of my mom and my grandma. So it's nice to sit here when I'm stitching and think about them. And now that we've got a little snow on the ground, it's nice to be stitching something that's of the season also. My intention for this is to make it into a little pillow when I'm done. That's kind of why I wanted to alter the shape of it a bit, so that it enlarged it some, but I wanted a little pillow that I could put out around Christmas time on the couch. And so that I think will serve nicely. So that is Chili Cardinals by Artful Offerings. Another fun stitch. Like I said, I'm doing this on Brenda's Brew, 40 count Brenda's Brew. Called for linen is Vintage Country Mocha. So this is just something I had in my stash. And it seemed like all the colors really contrasted nicely on it or popped off of it. And some good contrast with the whites, which is always something you want to find. It's no fun to be stitching, especially a design like this that has snowflakes as such a predominant part of it. You want to make sure your linen is dark enough that the white will pop off of that. I don't mind white stitching like some people do. So it's okay for me. And I know we've talked about it before, but when you're working with cotton threads that are colors other than white, they don't reflect the light in the same way, and the white stitches, you're just really seeing the quality of your stitches. And not that there's anything particularly special about the quality of my stitches, it's just the way that they look, and I'm just used to it, and I am okay with it, with how they look. So the last thing that I stitched on since I saw you last was something that I showed you in my whip parade that I hadn't worked on in quite a while. And I just thought, with Sampler Symposium going on this weekend, and of course that makes me think of Jean Lee, who was the founder and owner and stitching angel of the Attic and Sampler Symposium and all of that. I just thought I would stitch on something that was connected to her. And we're coming up on kind of the year anniversary of her passing, which was January 30th of last year. And a lot of folks started a project in memoriam of Jean, and I was one of those people. And I showed it to you in my whip parade, and I hadn't worked on it for probably since last year after I started it. So that's what I worked on, and I will keep working on that for the next little while. I just got one night in it, but it made me remember how much I enjoyed this design and the colors on it. And what it is this chart right here called Constant Companion by Erica Michaels. And I'm doing a version that's here on the back. And that's because of the message that's on that. That's something that Jean was working on, that she did stitch. And I remember being very struck by the message when Jean showed it in one of the videos that she did with Carolyn. And it says, "No one can look upon the needle without emotion. It is a constant companion throughout the pilgrimage of life." So that's what I'm working on. I don't have a lot of noticeable progress since you saw it last time, but I have some. So as you can see, I've made it all around the bones of the border. I had that in. I had that one red and pink flower in last time, but I've put in that smaller flower there in the corner. And then a lot of these little leaves up here in this top border I put in since I saw you last. This is being stitched on 46 count linen also. This is from Color and Cotton, this linen. I'm going to find my card. I try and keep a card in here. Oh, there it is. Buried in all the flosses, which are these. I have the overdyed silk conversion from the Attic that I'm using. They're gorgeous Dinky dyes. Almost all of them, with the exception of one here that's still in the floss bag. That's a gum nuts silk. But the reason I still have a couple in here is I haven't used those yet. And the others I've taken out of the floss away bag and put on floss drops. But this is 46 count aged paper is the name of this linen. And as I said, it's by Color and Cotton. It has a little bit of a pinkish cast to it. And I think I'm of a mind that it's resembles, I'm going to say, vintage. What's that Lakeside one that everybody loves? Vintage. Oh, I know you guys are all yelling at the screen right now. Light Exemplar. Vintage Light Exemplar. it's kind of similar because I've had a piece of light exemplar before. But I'm really enjoying this. And sitting here in my stitching chair, thinking about Jean as I work on it. I think about her a lot. If you watched any of the old Attic Needlework videos, and I would recommend you do because they're filmed in the attic, so there was always wonderful eye candy that she and Carolyn would show. But sometimes she would do videos with Nicola Parkman from Hands Across the Sea, and they would talk about silks and the nature of silk flosses and the different kinds of silk floss, and they would just talk about other stuff. And I just really enjoyed Jean's personality. She was just such a lovely person and had such an impact on so many people, whether you knew her for a long time or a short time. I don't know anybody who didn't meet her and was impacted by her. And that might seem like a weird word for just meeting somebody, but I'm hoping that you have met somebody at least once in your life that when you met them, you thought, oh, that is a really special person. Like they exude, something. And I don't necessarily mean charisma, but there was just something about Jean, the sparkle in her eyes. She had this ability to focus on you and only you when she was talking to you. That is a rare gift. You had her full attention. No matter how many people were around, you had her attention. And she smiled all the time. I'm sure she didn't, but whenever I saw her, she was smiling. Just a really special person. And so I think about her, even though I didn't meet her but a handful of times. But I will never forget her. And when I have this, and I'm working on this, I think about her. So anyway, that's Constant Companion by Erica Michaels, if you're interested in that. There's a couple of different ways to stitch this in this chart. Like I said, I just chose that one because of the message. And the Attic does have the silk floss conversion. Really beautiful, variegated silk flosses. I really enjoy stitching with overdyed silk. That might be one of my favorite fibers to stitch with. I do love DMC and overdyed cottons, but there's something about overdyed silks that are very, very special. So, put that up. So that's what I was stitching on since I saw you last. I hope you've had some good stitching time in the last 3 weeks. Now I think, let's do the giveaway. So I had some very, very happy mail come a couple of weeks ago. And this was specifically for doing a giveaway. Once I could see how close I was getting to that 10,000 subscribers, I thought I knew I wanted to do a giveaway for you guys for all of the amazing support that you've given me. And I reached out to Barry at Stitch Folk and asked her if she would make a project bag. Now, at that time, we haven't heard a lot from Barry in a while. She lost her mother in 2025, and she just wasn't making project bags. And quite honestly, I've been in conversation with her some, and she said she just really lost some creative juice. And it took her a while to get it back. And so she was pleased that I reached out to her, and she immediately said yes, she would make something. And I said, well, the giveaway is not imminent at that point, so take your time, start on it when you're ready, but just know I would like you to do this for me. And so she said definitely she would. So I didn't know what I was going to get. I mean, she actually showed me one thing. She sent it to me on Instagram. And she said, I'm making this for you, and I'm going to do something similar or along the similar lines for the giveaway. And so that's kind of what I was expecting when the package came. But I got something different. So I want to first show you this project bag from Barry at Stitch Folk. Isn't that beautiful? Oh my gosh, the colors. Beautiful fabric. And she lined it with this, is that Blackbird, I think, fabric. Now I've put some stuff in this. Some of it is what she sent, and some of it is part of the giveaway. So let me pull some things out. Because in addition to something Barry made for you is something that I have made for you. Now you saw this as a stitched finish. I think it was the last video, maybe not, maybe the one before, but it's now fully finished. This little pin pillow. Obviously Archie, and I did a ruched ribbon trim on it. I'm so pleased with how that turned out. So you guys get, whoever wins this is going to get my very first fully finished pin pillow, stitched by hand, because I did it all by hand for you. Not that that makes it any more special, but I just am not confident with a sewing machine. Stitching by hand is something that I love doing, and stitching this by hand really just reminded me how much I just like hand sewing. It's different than cross stitching, but it's the same too, and I really enjoy it. So that's my contribution to the giveaway. And I had shown the stitching to Barry, and that's why she went this route with the bag, why she kind of changed course so these would go together. Now, what else is in here? Because there's other fun stuff in here. I made a fob for the bag. Let's see if I can get it to turn up right. Friends. And these beads are from my stash. These are antique Indian trade beads, or they're called African trade beads, but these were traded a lot with Native Americans. These are all old beads, at least from the early 1900s, possibly older. So that, I'm just going to clip it. Goes on the bag. So there is that. And then there are some other fun little goodies in here. If you've been watching me for a while, you might remember this particular card. This is your life. Do what you love and do it often. This has become a mantra of mine. I get this card from my friend Gretchen at Flora Legion, a store here in Weston. So you get one of those. Barry sent some floss drops, and there are some project cards in here that are going in it. And then I will be including some floss drops, and we got some stickers, and one of my favorite things, this little floss bobbin winded that's shaped like a Scotty. So that is the prize package. Oh, and I'm going to add in, I had an extra copy. For some reason, they sent me an extra copy with my subscription. So I'm going to add in this extra copy of Just Cross Stitch. I hope you guys love it, what we've done for you. So for the giveaway, please be a subscriber. please be over 18 so I can ask you for your mailing address. This is going to be open to anyone, no matter where you live in the world. And use the word friend in your comment. And I'm so excited for you guys to get all of these colorful and beautiful things that Barry and I have made for you. So thank you again for being a subscriber to my channel and contributing to that subscriber count. Thank you so much. Now, I did have, when I showed that little pin pillow on my Instagram, I've had a few people reach out to me and say, hey, where can I get that chart? Well, I made it up, but it was inspired by this chart right here, Winsome Pear. This is by Plum Street. You can see the Scotties on there. Obviously, I made it all black instead, and I actually took one row out of that Scotty, so it wasn't quite so long. A couple of the little flowers are from this, so I just adapted that. So if you're a Scotty lover, you can make that too. It's not that hard, because the hard work is right there in that chart. So I'm so excited for you guys. Can't wait. Can't wait. So other happy mail I got, as I said, Barry was making something for me. She made me a project bag too. And this is like the most special project bag I think I could ever receive. It's like bespoke, made for me. I'm going to show you this. And it'll probably make me cry to talk about it. She did some little, she'd been working on English paper piecing. She told me that she had been trying some slow stitching and embroidery. So she added some antique lace onto this and some beads there. And she told me that when she made this, she was just thinking about me and the things that she knew that I loved. And it was one of the most thoughtful things that somebody has made for me in a very long time. So I want to thank Barry for that. Beautiful fabric. Probably French General, although I don't know enough about it to know. But I already have it earmarked for a very special project. I've got linen in it for something, and I'm starting to collect threads. I had one in my stash for this. And what I'm going to tell you what I'm going to put in here, because I'm trying to manifest it to come to me. It's a chart that's actually not been released yet from Kathleen Littleton of Cross Stitch Antiques. It's a Quaker chart that she's working on. And I first saw it, when was that? It was in a Zoom group. I have told you before that I'm a member of a Facebook group called the Across the Pond Stitch and Chat. We have a monthly Zoom. Kathleen's a member of that group also, and she was on the Zoom and was showing us what she was working on, and it was this, golly, gorgeous Quaker sampler. And I knew, I was gobsmacked by it. In fact, if she could have seen my face, she was featured, so she couldn't see any of our reactions to it. I was practically drooling at looking at it, and I thought, oh my God, that's the next Quaker I'm going to do. And then she showed it again she had like a year in review video that she did maybe about a month ago. Maybe it was in December, early December, I want to say. Anyway, she showed the sampler again towards the end of that video, and I saw it again. I'm like, I was drooling. So that chart. And I wrote to her because we've chatted before about other things. Actually, she was instrumental in me learning more about Bridget Power. It was her confirmation and knowledge about Irish samplers that she really put me on the track of Irish as being the origin of the Bridget Power sampler. Anyway, so we've been communicating on and off for a while. And so I reached out to her and I said, when are you releasing that chart? I've got to have that chart. And she said, well, it's not ready yet. I'm working on the model. It was the people who went to the Ackworth school retreat last October were able to get it. And a friend of mine who was there has it. In fact, that was Marie from Swan Bay Fabrics, which I want to talk briefly about too. Anyway, she said, I will let you know when I'm ready to release it. I think it might be market, but I'm not quite sure. But anyway, that's what's going to go in this. So by pulling supplies together, having a project bag ready, I'm trying to manifest it coming to me maybe a little more quickly than it otherwise might. So we'll see. We shall see. But anyway, that is really such a special project bag. And I want to thank Barry again at Stitch Folk for that. And I was chatting over instant message with Barry just the other night and told her I was going to be doing this video today. And I said, I know people would love to know if you're going to be making bags again or kind of what's going on with you. And she said, funny, you should be asking me that right now, because she had been working on updating her website. She is ready to start doing some things again. Project bags will be part of that, but not in, excuse me, let me get a drink. As I said, project bags will be part of it, but not in the quantities like the club that she was doing or in the way that she was doing it before. She's kind of rethinking her focus. And after a life-altering event, I think all of us rethink, you know, how do we want to move forward after this? It's an opportunity that definitely for introspection and to maybe redirect. And so she will be coming back. And she said if she does do project bags again, it's likely going to be on Instagram that she will sell them. And but, you know, watch. If you're on Instagram, like her page, Stitch Folk page, look at her website and just kind of watch and see what it is that we see in the future from Barry. We know based on past experience, it's going to be something beautiful, of course, and probably with some humor attached and just all around gorgeousness. So anyway, thank you, Barry. Thank you so, so much. Other happy mail I got was my first linen from the Color and Cotton Linen Club that they started up. So I was really pleased to get a spot in the Color and Cotton Linen Club. And this is the first installment. It is called Palomino. It's a beautiful, beautiful light gold and tan called Palomino. And I got 40 count. They had other counts available too. If they'd had 46, I would have gotten 46, but this is 40. And that's Color and Cotton Linen Club. But that makes me think of, since I would have preferred 46 count linen, my friend Marie at Swan Bay Fabrics, she is over in Wales, but she has started up a linen club also. And because I had just signed up for Color and Cotton, I didn't immediately sign on to Marie's club. But she was talking about it. People have received their first order. And of course, I have FOMO. Who wouldn't? Beautiful. I just have a thing about linen. I didn't know I was going to have this weakness for beautiful linen when I started this hobby, but I do. And so in the last Zoom that we had in the Across the Pond group, because Marie is one of the moderators, people were talking about it, and Sarah of Somi Sarah showed her piece of linen on her latest video. I thought, man, I wish I had gotten in on that linen club. And I did. I actually was able to, because Marie has opened up some more spots. So that's really what I want to tell you. If you're looking for a linen club to get into and you want some amazing quality linen, you might check out Swan Bay Fabrics. Now, because it's a European dyer, British dyer, and I'm in the United States, and right now, you know, there's tariffs and shipping costs are through the roof. What Marie worked out is that her good friend Angie, who has a channel called Tiny House Stitcher, Angie also is one of the moderators of Across the Pond Stitch and Chat group. Marie put all of the linen club pieces of linen into a box and shipped them to Angie. And then Angie is kind of the in the States distributor for those. So if you are wanting to get into a linen club, check out the Swan Bay. She has 32, 36, 40, and 46. I'm pretty sure. And I think she has Ada too. For those of you who are Ada stitchers, you're not left out. So yeah, I'm looking forward to getting my first installment of that. Both of these clubs are bi-monthly. That's how I decided I'm going to justify this to myself. It's bi-monthly. And I know Marie's is cancelable at any time. So if it works out that it's just not in your budget, you think it might be, and then it's not, you can cancel it without any repercussions. So more beautiful linen coming our way. So what else do I have here? Oh, I wanted to show you, I know I've mentioned the Across the Pond Facebook group. I also want to, I know I have a lot of sampler stitchers who watch me. I just want to tell you, if you're not already a member of Nicola Parkman's Friends of Hands Across the Sea Facebook group, I recommend you do. Even if you're not on Facebook or you don't like Facebook, if you just want to get on just for this one group or the Across the Pond group, both of those, you should, because Nicola puts out exclusives for the group periodically. And she had one at the end of December. That was this one right here. MC 1899, an exercise in Smyrna crosses. Very tiny little thing. A lot of people are doing this one as a blessing sampler. And it was just something you could download. You had to have a special code to get there from the group, to get to her website, to get that. But that was a free chart. But the other reason I wanted to tell you about that is there are a lot of very, very experienced needleworkers in that group and sampler stitchers. There is a stitch along going on in the group right now as well. Probably a lot of you watching are doing that stitch along. I'm not, but in conjunction with that, because the I think the stitch along has some satin stitches in it, or there was somebody asking maybe in the group about satin stitches and wanting to improve their satin stitches. They didn't feel like they made good satin stitches. There was an article kind of that someone posted, someone from the group put this together, a lady named Judy Hall, How I Stitch Satin Stitches. And she just wrote down her process here and gave some tips and tricks on satin stitching. So I quickly copied that and printed it out, so I have that to refer to if I have a project that I'm going to be doing satin stitches on, which I do. And you know, we all think we're going to be experts at these things first time we do them. And in this little article from Judy, she was saying it took her a while to feel like she made good satin stitches. You just have to be willing to keep at it. And so anyway, I just wanted to call your attention to Nicola's Facebook group, Friends of Hands Across the Sea. I got just a couple of other things in the mail that I'm going to share with you. You all probably have these books on your bookshelf, but since I'm new to the book of days. And a lot of you guys decorate yours up with stickers. I didn't have any stickers, so I was given an Amazon gift card for Christmas, so I bought myself a couple of amazing sticker books with those. And then I can get to decorating my book of days. And then one of you in after the last video recommended a book to me too that you found useful in your life, and you thought I would too. And so I ordered that. That's this one right here, called The Book of Awakening by Mark Nepo. And it's basically a book about being present in your life and kind of some daily words. Now, it's not devotions, it's not Bible verses, but it's set up as a daily thing that you can just sit down and read the short passage for the day and give you something to meditate on or just think about as you set your intentions for the day, or maybe just as something that you need in order to help give you some guidance. So I want to thank that person who recommended this one to me. It just came, so I haven't really dipped into it much yet, but I'm really looking forward to it. You were spot on thinking that this would be something that I would get some enjoyment from. So a couple of other things that I want to tell you about, just some plans and some people I've been watching. This morning, it was one more Facebook group that if you're not already a member of, please consider it, called Our Sampler Years. And I know there's a little bit more, but Our Sampler Years will get you there. Because again, lots of very, very experienced, skilled needleworkers are in that group. And sometimes there are posts about events coming up that people might be interested in. And just this morning, one such post came across the group. And it's about a virtual learning opportunity that is being put on by the Schwenkfelder Library and Heritage Center in Pennsburg, Pennsylvania. The Schwenkfelder, and I'm going to run the website here. But they're doing an online kind of symposium on Saturday, January 31st from 1 until 5 p.m. Eastern Time, Eastern Standard Time here in the States. Like I said, January 31st. The title of it is called Tea and Textiles with Carolyn. And it's all about textiles for the 250th anniversary of the Declaration of Independence. And so they've pulled together 3 different lectures. And you can either, oh, hiccups. You can either take one of them or all 3. One of them is just $20. Or all 3 is $50. And one is on John and Abigail, the textiles of John and Abigail Adams and surrounding them. So of that time period, textiles that have to do with them. One of the seminars is called Patriotism in the Sewing Box. And there was a photograph on the website of all sorts of sewing accoutrements that all had like flags or some sort of patriotic symbolism on them. I think that one sounds really fun. And then the other seminar is about Betsy Ross. So I think all of those sound like a good time. So I signed up for it immediately. Maybe it might be something that you'd be interested too. And if you do sign up for it, they are recording the different lectures, and you will get a link to be able to watch those recordings. So maybe you sign up and you actually can't attend at the time that they're being given. You'll get a recording so that you can see those. So I'll put information about this too in the description box below. But that is Tea and Textiles with Carolyn at the Schwenkfelder Library and Heritage Center and History Museum in Pennsburg, PA. That sounds like fun. I thought, wow, I'm missing out on Sampler Symposium, but I can go to an online learning opportunity. And I actually don't have to work that day. I'll be home, so I can watch that. I think it'll be cool. I think it'll be fun. So lastly, I have been watching a lot of FlossTube, as we do, right? And I just want to call a couple of them to your attention. We had the return of a couple of people that I enjoy watching. Grace, the Paisley Stitcher, came back. I think it's been like a year since she did a new FlossTube. She just has some beautiful, beautiful projects. If you like samplers, she is somebody that you want to watch. And she's completed a lot of stuff in the time since she did her last FlossTube. So she had kind of a whip parade and a finish parade, and it was wonderful to see Grace. She loves the history of things in a similar way to me, so she shares some of that. She likes different types of samplers, some the same as me, some very different. She really enjoys German and Dutch band samplers and knows a lot about those. So if you haven't watched Grace, the Paisley Stitcher, I would recommend you give her a look. And another person that's been away for a little while and has just come back is Susan from Susan X Stitches. Now, Susan lives up in Spring Green, Wisconsin. She hasn't been doing FlossTubes for a long time, but she had a few episodes, and then she was having some health issues, and it was her eye, and it was making it very challenging for her to stitch. So she had to take a step back and kind of regroup. And so she's back showing some of the things that she was able to work on, even while she was dealing with the healing with this eye injury. And then talking about what some of her plans are too. And of course, living in Spring Green, her local needlework store is Country Sampler. So, wow, she has a lot of beautiful projects that she works on that some of the materials and color conversions are from Country Sampler. So I think you might like Susan from Susan X Stitches. And also, if you've been to my Stitch With Me gatherings before, Susan and her mom generally are at those. So I've gotten to know Susan and really enjoy her company and her FlossTube. So I think you might too. A new FlossTuber, FlossTube number 1 out there. A lot of people have been talking about this lady. A lot of people have been recommending her. So I'm just gonna say yes, me too. Is a gal named Natalie. Sorry, I'm finding her in my notes here. I was going to say Nicole, but I thought, no, that's not right. It's Natalie. She has a channel called Sewing Room Secrets. Now, Natalie lives in England. She's originally from Northern Ireland, so she has that amazing accent that many of us love to listen to. She has some great projects, and she kind of was a sensation on Instagram a few weeks ago. She had a finish of an animal cracker, a Stacey Nash animal cracker, the snowman called Whitaker, and she made a little knitted hat for him. Everybody on Instagram just went gaga over that. And I think to the point that they were hounding her for a pattern. She actually had to make a pattern so people could knit their own little hat for Whitaker. Very nice content, and she had great rapport on the camera. I think the variety of things that she shared and the things that she's stitching and is excited about, I think you all might enjoy her too. So that channel was called Sewing Room Secrets. And then lastly, I've talked about my friend Renee a lot on this channel, another person that comes to all of my Stitch With Me days. And a lot of you know Renee. She is Prairie Stitcher 515 on Instagram and now on YouTube. She, I think, is reluctantly, maybe reluctantly, gonna dip her toe into the floss tube world. She's really good friends with Kim, Contented Needleworker Kim also, and Kim's kind of been twisting her arm to start a channel. Kim did a really wonderful floss tube with Renee when they were having a little stitch gathering of their own at Renee's home in Iowa. And Renee did her own tour of her house and her stitching that she had up for Christmas. And I'm hoping that she does one. And if she doesn't herself, I said, well, hey, would you want to come on and be a guest on mine? So maybe we'll just get her to be everybody's perpetual guest too. So you will be seeing more of Renee, and I think you will enjoy seeing more of Renee, because everybody who knows her, and she knows a lot of people, love her too. So anyway, that is Prairie Stitcher 515, Renee. So anyway, that's what I have for you for FlossTubers. I'm watching all of my favorites. Brenda and Laura had a new one. I'm sure they'll have one after Sampler Symposium. Somi, Sarah, Sarah's Stitchy Spot. I don't miss those two ladies. My friend, another Sarah, Penelope's Pocket. Don't miss her. I know there are lots of others that I just saw. Jason X Stitches the other night. I watched Stuart, sometimes Stuart's in Stitches. Sally, Flossie Sews and Grows, tons of them. And so many people still, I'm seeing lots of FlossTube #1s out there. So a lot of you joining this amazing community. And it's just wonderful. There's something here for everybody. There really is. There he goes again. Might be the mailman. Sorry if that startles you. His bark can be kind of sharp. I'm at the end here, so I thought, why do I stop? Why stop? And the light is really shining in right now because of where it is in the sky today. But I want to close today with just kind of a special thought. First of all, again, my heartfelt thanks for all of the support that you give me after every video and everything that I post on Instagram. Just thank you. I truly, truly appreciate you. So if you want to enter the giveaway, the keyword is friends. Use that in your comment. Please be a subscriber. Like this video. It keeps me in front of the YouTube algorithm, keeping everybody looking at needlework videos. This amazing hobby that we're all part of, this amazing cute community that we're all part of, FlossTube. I'm so grateful to be here and contributing to it. On Monday here, the 19th of January, is a bank holiday. Some people have off work. It's in celebration of Martin Luther King's birthday. And I thought, wow, very ironic, particularly relevant and poignant to be thinking about the accomplishments of him and a life taken too soon. I imagine, only wonder what he would think about what's going on right now. But he certainly would have been right there in the middle of it and have profound things to share with us in times like we are living in that can be paralyzing. I know he would tell us to keep moving forward. We can't let what's happening around us paralyze us, because then, we're not contributing. And if contributing is creating a video like this, that's what I'm going to do. I sit here and I know, as a person who feels things deeply, I know one of my jobs is to help process energy. That may be a weird thing for some of you to even consider, but I know that's one of my roles in this, to help be a filter. That's what I can do. So we just have to find our thing to do. And if that's just sitting, breathing, not be paralyzed, not be drawn down into depression and darkness, working at whatever that looks like to help keep moving forward in the face of such challenges. That's what we need to do. So I'm going to close today with actually a quote from Martin Luther King. Not one that I hear very often, but I came across this today as I was looking through some things and wondering what I could share with you. I think this really works and works well. He said, "I refuse to accept the view that mankind is so tragically bound to the starless midnight of racism and war that the bright daybreak of peace and brotherhood can never become a reality. I believe that unarmed truth and unconditional love will have the final word." From his lips to God's ears. Thank you, everybody, for being here today. And as always, I look forward to seeing you again. Take good care. I'll be back probably in about 3 weeks' time. I'll have some new things to share, I know, because I've got projects, progress. Who knows what's going to happen in that time. Thank you. Thank you so much for being here today. I appreciate you. Namaste.